Hello and welcome back. I am really jazzed about this episode because I think it is an episode that is going to be refreshing, hopefully, is going to be a reminder, hopefully, to many of us. And it's something that I'm currently working on. And I feel like we all could really, spend a little extra time focusing on this for ourselves. So, we're going to be talking about self compassion and really how that plays into our life and really how that can support us in our life. Today, I don't anticipate this being a super long episode, but I do have lots of takeaways to share with you. And by that, I mean like lots of things that you can use to help you understand where you are in the self-compassion world. How much self-compassion are you showing yourself currently? And hopefully, through this reflective process, you can start to show yourself more of that self-compassion. So this all has kind of come to my realization after I gave a presentation at the time that I am sharing this with you last weekend. So I was a speaker at a virtual wellness event, and I shared a couple different things. And I realized, through sharing what I shared, that this information needs to get out to the masses. Like, I need to share this far and wide and not just at that particular event where, a handful or a couple handfuls of individuals were in attendance. So, um, what I wanted to do first and foremost is to share with you this amazing book. I am not super far in it. I'm only about 30 pages in. I was about to say 30 minutes, 30 pages in of like I want to say like 300-page book. It's by Dr. Kristin Neff, and it's called Fierce Self-Compassion: How Women Can Harness Kindness to Speak Up, Claim Their Power, and Thrive. Beautiful cover, just to say the very least, as you look at this. But such a good book so far, and so many things that I'm already learning about myself through reading this book. Um, so I definitely shared this book in my presentation last weekend at the event, and there's a couple things in here that I want to talk about. First is a really like a scale that Kristin Neff has created. She created it back in 2003. It's called the Self-Compassion Scale, so SCS. If you type that in, it'll come up on Google and you can take it for free. But what I really like about it is it breaks down the components of self-compassion into different categories. And then you can identify like an overall score and individual scores for those categories. So it talks about where it breaks it down into things like self-kindness, self-judgment, common humanity, mindfulness, and a couple other items. And so through this, the scale is, I believe, 0 through 5, 5 being the highest, like the highest self-compassion you can have for yourself, and 0 obviously being none at all. And my overall score was overall, like with all the categories combined, was 2.9 at the time I took it. I think it might have been a little skewed because at the time I took it, I was just getting ready to like start a new position, go back to school. And I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of self-doubt about like, can I do this? Am I going to be successful? And now I feel completely different. So I would imagine taking it now, my scores would be higher. So note to you, take this when you feel like you are level-headed and not like in a heightened sense of stress or anxiety. Also, same goes for like not a heightened sense of euphoria or joy, because you're probably going to skew things, right? But I found it really insightful. It just made me more aware of how I answered and like how I can continue to support myself, especially, in a new role, in a new position, a new job. So I love that. So definitely go check that out. Is it completely free? They'll give you your results right after you take right after you complete the scale. And then they'll also send them to your email. And again, it's all totally free. So I definitely would highly recommend that. But I also love what she says on page 24 in her book. She says the research literature on benefits of self-compassion will be discussed throughout this book, but I'll briefly sum it up here. So that this, I'm quoting her right now, like what I just shared was quoted, and here we go. So quote, people who are more self-compassionate tend to be happier, more hopeful, and optimistic. They are more satisfied with their lives and grateful for what they have. They're less anxious, depressed, stressed, and fearful. They're less likely to contemplate suicide or abuse drugs and alcohol. They're wiser and more emotionally intelligent and can regulate their negative emotions more effectively. They have a more positive body image and are less likely to develop eating disorders. They are more likely to engage in helpful behaviors like exercise, eating right, and seeing the doctor regularly. They're physically healthier, they sleep better with fewer colds, have stronger immune systems. They're more motivated, conscientious, and take more responsibility for themselves. They're more resilient when faced with life challenges and have more grit and determination to reach their goals. They have closer, more functional relationships with family, friends, and romantic partners. And then I'm going to end quote there. I mean, it goes on with more good stuff, but you just hear that like developing that self-compassion has so many positive effects in our life holistically, like as a well-rounded human being. So I am excited to continue to share with you more of this book as I continue to dive deeper. And I'm hoping to get Kristin on the podcast too after I finish reading the book to just have her thoughts. She's written another book too on self-compassion. So I hope to bring her on, but I wanted to talk about another thing too, which is yet again another scale that or I guess another survey of sorts that you can take to measure your happiness. So this comes from the book Build the Life You Want by Arthur Brooks and Oprah Winfrey. I just recently finished reading that book. It was phenomenal. It's a book that I would definitely read again and probably will read again. I can't say that about most books, but this is definitely a book that I will read again. There's so many facets of how you can instill happiness in your life and just how happiness occurs in our life. So many good nuggets, so many good tactical pieces. So, and so much good research too. From Arthur Brooks. He's phenomenal. So I would also highly recommend they share in the book in Build the Life You Want. They share this survey called PANIS, which was created by some college professors in 1988, and it stands for the Positive and Negative Effects Schedule. And it essentially rates how like the proportion of happiness to unhappiness or positive emotions to negative emotions. And I really don't like to use negative emotions, so I'll say uncomfortable emotions. Again, this is one that you want to take when you're not at one end of the spectrum or the other, and you're pretty level-headed, even keeled, because that can skew the results. Again, I did this thinking I could make it, like I wouldn't be affected by it, but I took it during or right before I was getting ready to start my new job, and again was very anxious, nervous, stressed because of new job, new coworkers, new situation, everything, right? And I'm so happy right now. So things couldn't have gone better at this point. But at the time, it's a new change is change, right? And it can be uncomfortable, and you don't know, what you're going to experience. So when I took this, my positive and negative were about even. So it didn't really do me a whole lot of good, but I plan to take it again in the near future, and I'm curious to see how that, what my my scale looks like. It's actually more so of a bar graph, so I'm interested to see what my bar graph looks like when I take it again, with hopefully more of an even keeled um mindset, if you will. So, yeah, like I said, I wanted to share both of those things today, and I'll put both of those links to the scales and surveys in the show notes, because I feel like this is something that, I'm sharing, and so naturally you're going to want to go check it out and, see if you can um support yourself by getting some of these results. Again, by no means is it a you know set in stone, this is how you are, this is who you be. No, it's just a helpful, I like to say, a helpful tool that can give you some insightful information if you really utilize it for its intended purpose, which is really just to shed some light on, your current habits, your current ways of being. So this book, I can't remember if I said at the beginning, Fear, Self-Compassion, is a book that my book club and I are reading. So I am eager to dive deeper into this and give you more insight into what I find, some advice that I find from this book. But I guess the other piece to this podcast episode today that I really want to share is, I've noticed over the last 4 years that I've really become more self-compassionate. I used to be very rigid and strict with myself, and you know, black and white in my thinking, um, and just didn't allow myself um room for error, right? Which is not a way to be. And since the pandemic, I've really blossomed into this, I'd like to say, incredible human being. I love chatting with people. I'm an introvert by nature, but when I'm with people, I become very extroverted. It's very easy for me to strike up a conversation with people, even if I don't know them, which, a decade ago was not me. I've really blossomed into this flourishing human being. And, I credit this part of this journey to my increased self-compassion for myself. I am forgiving of myself when I make mistakes. I am, loving of myself in ways that I didn't used to be. And so, I want this hopefully to resonate. If you are someone who is starting a new job, you are, you know, in a new situation. Maybe you've just moved, so you're meeting new people. You just graduated college, so you're looking for a job. You are in that next stage of life. Maybe your kids just went off to college, and so you're an empty nester. You are a parent for the first time, so you're learning how to navigate that life, caring for a little one or little ones. Whatever it may be, a new relationship, whether it be, a romantic relationship or a friendship, whatever you're navigating, I want to remind you that leading with self-compassion and reminding yourself that whether you've done this thing or been through this situation or not, every situation is different. So give yourself that grace, give yourself that self-compassion, because you deserve it. We're human. We make mistakes, and from those mistakes we learn, how to be a better person, how to make the best decisions for ourselves, and in turn that helps us affect others in a positive way. So that's really what I wanted to bring you today, to come here and share. Again, I will put both of those tools in the show notes. So if you want to check them out, you can. If you want to share your results with me, you absolutely can. There's a text messaging option that you can use in the show notes to text me your results. I would love to know what you get, what your results are from that, and really how you're going to move forward with those results, right? For me, getting that 2.9 out of 5 reminded me that I've come a long way because 5 years ago, I probably would have been closer to the zero on self-compassion. So I've come a long way, and I know that I'm moving in the right direction. I'm moving closer to getting to those higher numbers, closer to the five, which is exciting for me. And it just reminds me to continue to keep doing the work, continue to keep showing up for myself, and continuing to keep giving myself that grace that I deserve, that we all deserve. So that is that. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope this served you in the best way possible. And stay tuned next week. We will have a guest chat. So it'll be me interviewing and chatting with another incredible individual. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you have a wonderful start to the week or rest of the week. And yeah, I will chat with you soon. Take care.